My guest today is Tracy Leparulo. Tracy is the CEO of Untraceable, which I think is a crypto and blockchain events company. And well, they have a very big event coming up very soon. I think it's next week. It's called the Blockchain Futurist Conference. So we'll learn all about that today. Welcome to the show, Tracy.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
It's excited to have you here, Tracy. So let's do what we do at the beginning of the show, which is I will get you to please introduce yourself to the audience. Just love to hear a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and your story leading up to, I guess, getting involved with blockchain and founding Untraceable and all that good conference stuff.
Absolutely. So, hi, I'm Tracy from Untraceable, just a spin on my name. I got involved in crypto in 2012. I actually started when I went to Kenya. I started a microfinance program there, and we were funding women entrepreneurs and teaching them financial literacy. And when I came back to Canada, so I'm from Toronto, I learned very quickly how hard it was to send money over borders. So, me and a group of friends, we learned about something called Bitcoin. Now, I got really, really lucky because in Toronto, this is where Ethereum started out of. And so I got brought to a place called Bitcoin Decentral. And there I actually got hired by the founders of Ethereum to work on a project called CryptoKit, where I started as one of my first roles in the crypto space. And that was with the founder of Ethereum, Anthony Diorio. Vitalik was on the team. We had advisors like Roger Ver and Charlie Shrem. So some of these old OGs in the space were all part of this project early on. And then we got lucky because Ethereum also started out of here. So I started out of a place called Bitcoin Decentral. And that's where I ran my first crypto conference called the Bitcoin Expo and the first Ethereum hackathon in the world. And so, like everyone else, they go through this rabbit hole and got really in depth with it. So it was interesting. I started out on the social good side, got really quickly immersed in the space by doing some of the earliest crypto conferences in the world and meeting some really great people.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I mean, that's talk about being in the right place at the right time,
Yeah.
Tracy. And well, tell us what was that like, kind of being there on the ground, I guess, in those kind of early days of Ethereum. And did you say that you put together the first Ethereum hackathon? How cool! Tell us about
Yeah.
that.
Very cool. You know what? I didn't realize how special it was until you look back now. Um, it was a very different space at the time. I would say the evolution of the crypto community has changed. So back in the day, it was more libertarians, social good, like the background I came from, anarchists. There was that audience there. So definitely a very different type of audience than it is today. But the first Ethereum hackathon was incredible. So we flew in the original Ethereum team. Gavin Wood was there, Charles Hoskinson, who was the CEO at the time, obviously Vitalik, his hometown, Anthony. So Steve Dock, all the original guys all flew up to run this hackathon. And what was cool is I did it as a volunteer. The two individuals I did it with was the founder of Polymath, was a volunteer. One of the main people at Consensus now, Joseph Lubin was there. He hacked, was a volunteer. So it was like we were all sitting in the room with Vlad from the sorry, I'm dropping names here, but like we have Ethan Buckman from Cosmos, like all these amazing projects that are now CEOs. We were just in a room hacking, eating pizza, trying to figure out what was next. And what was crazy about the Ethereum hackathon is people were really upset when we told them they had to build on Ethereum. They were Bitcoin maxis. Everything was about cryptocurrency at the time, right? So you got to think before we're trying to educate people that it's beyond just currency. And so it was interesting. It was an interesting weekend for that sake, the fact that people didn't want to build on Ethereum. Why are you pushing this other chain on us? It's only Bitcoin. Who would have thought, this many years later, that how big it's gotten.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, that's funny that even back then there was this. Yeah, kind of. I guess you'd call it a divide. Certainly, tension between different people having loyalties to
Yeah.
different chains, right?
Well, our main sponsor, the hackathon, was Mastercoin.
Right.
It was like, whoa, what is this other coin now? It's like it was the first time we kind of sprinkled. There's more than just currency. That concept of like it's beyond currency, and that was interesting. So I ran something called the Bitcoin Expo. It was 800 people back in 2014, which is quite a large conference even in today's sense. And so it was quite magical for sure.
All right. So, and obviously this is, oh man, I don't even know how many years ago that is, but yeah, that is a while ago, Tracy. So, what have you been doing in between? It sounds like you've been running crypto events and conferences ever since as Untraceable. Is that the case?
Absolutely. So I've always been a big proponent of building the community. I started with that first main conference, and I learned very quickly when you run an event, you know, all the speakers, you know, all the sponsors, you know, the trends, the topics people are talking about. So I've gotten really in depth on kind of what's always up and coming. Throughout the years, I've also been head of marketing of many projects and advised in many. So I've been on the roller coaster ride. So a little bit what we did after, I would say, the Bitcoin kind of era days was ETH hackathon. So I started the first one called ETH Waterloo. That was at Ethereum, Vitalik's hometown. ETH Waterloo then blew up to something called ETH Global, and they kind of went around the globe. They went to ETH Denver. So ETH Denver took this on a totally different world, the ETH Denver team. And now you can see these ETH events everywhere. I also did a bunch of projects in, like I worked for Wax for a little bit. So went into the gaming space. That was in 2017. I did stuff in loyalty points. And then I was head of marketing, something called Polymath. So I got into more capital markets and securities. And so and then I've done a gold back stable coin. I helped a project do that. So I jumped from project to project, trying to help build communities and with the passion and focus on how do we bring new audiences to the space. It's always been kind of my angle of how I can contribute to the space.
Fantastic. And I suppose, Tracy, we should talk about the Blockchain Futurist Conference, because this is your latest event. And I'm looking at the website now. So this is happening, of course, in Toronto. Where else? Happening August 9 and 10, which is next week. And I suppose it would make sense that we publish this podcast well before then. So I'm actually going to try and publish this podcast, Tracy, tomorrow. It's already Thursday, 4th of August for me, because I live in the future, because of course I am based down under here in New Zealand. I imagine it'll be Thursday, 4th of August for everyone else by when I publish this. So we've still got about just around a week, just under a week in between. So there's plenty of time if anyone's listening in Toronto, Canada, to still be able to go. I don't know if you have any kind of online capabilities as well, but yeah, where should we start? Tell us what the big idea is here for the Blockchain Futurist Conference 2022, Tracy.
Let's do it. Blockchain Futurist Conference. It's Canada's largest blockchain and crypto event. We're expecting over 6,000 people this year, making it the largest event in crypto history in Canada. What we do is we bring cryptocurrency on site. So we enable all the food trucks, all the vendors, all the marketplaces with crypto, so you can pay with it. We also have helicopter rides and yachts. Again, you can use crypto to get a ride on a helicopter. We do as much as we can to bring cryptocurrency on site, and it's in a really immersive venue. I do it in this mega entertainment complex in Cabana Pool Bar. So if you have a chance to come, it's a really dynamic setting. And then on top of it, we're also launching ETH Toronto. So we have this massive hackathon, over 1,000 people attending there. It's attached to the conference, and they're going to have 72 hours of developers kind of building the best technologies coming up to date. And what I'm really excited about this year, more than anything at the conference, is we're actually launching our own token. So we're launching a gamification token that's able to power the entire conference and essentially engages attendees and enhances their actual experience on site, driving actions. So if attendees go to a sponsor booth or a speaker session, they'll gain points. These points can be translated to our token called UNI, and these UNI they can use on site for things like VIP experiences, popcorn, cotton candy, characters, and fun things. So it's a very, very cool immersive event, and we hope you guys are able to join us.
Hey, well, it sounds very crypto, sounds very fun, sounds very immersive, all that good stuff. I was just looking through the speakers, Tracy. So there's a couple of the big headline names, if you like, I guess, the ones that stand out to me. You've got Vitalik, of course, Vitalik himself, the founder of Ethereum, who I guess you know very well from the early days and the Toronto crypto scene. Who else was I looking at here? Paulo... what's the second name?
He might be coming a bit online virtually. So we'll also be in the metaverse. We'll be in CryptoVox. We'll also be streaming CoinMarketCap, which is really great too. So it'll be one of the main highlighted features there. Our speakers come from like such a diverse background. We have 3 stages. Our main stage, our big headliner, of course, is Vitalik. He's going to be speaking about the merge and all the exciting things going on with Ethereum in the birthplace of birthplace of Ethereum. But we have some other great sessions too. So we have a blockchain bootcamp for beginners. We have some amazing panels on traditional finance, focused on kind of the next wave of crypto investors. We have a regulation panel. We have an awesome NFT panel with the founder of One Of and some great producers. And then we have some great Canadian talent coming in. So we're talking about Web3 and music and entertainment. We have about 10 different announcements happening on site. So you have to come on site or watch to learn about those. So people announcing whether it's new NFT drops or new product lines are doing. So we always become a really great stage for new projects. And we pride ourselves on that. So like I said, Ethereum, we talked about it in 2014 before people kind of really knew what it was. Our virtual event, we had Sandbox and Decentral. We had all the metaverse guys were there before metaverse. NFTs, really blew up, and CryptoKitties launched my 2017 event. So it's like what we try and find is top talent that we think is up and coming, more than just the ones that everyone kind of knows all the time.
Yeah, I mean, that is always the key to a successful conference or, something like this is you have those kind of big heavy hitters, your Vitaliks and so on. But then you need, as I think you've identified, Tracy, you want to have that next upcoming wave of talent and also kind of surf the wave of whatever the new trends are and be able to really speak to those. And it sounds like you're doing that, right?
Exactly, right. We have some really great chains too. We have Near coming in. We've had Hedera coming in strong. A lot of infrastructure projects like Axlar and Anchor. We find that to be the biggest trend this year is really the infrastructure kind of companies coming on board. So it's interesting to see the evolution of the conferences that I planned and who the heavy hitters are this year. But without a doubt, more than other years, the traditional finance side really came in strong. Which is funny because in 2014 you couldn't catch those guys dead coming to one of our conferences. So it's nice to see that the space is growing.
Totally. Well, tell us then, Tracy, firstly, for anyone on the ground in Canada, Toronto, or maybe close enough to get there if they really want to, are there tickets still available for people who are really wanting to attend in real life? And then secondary, can you tell us, for people such as myself, all across the other side of the world, what's available in terms of for us? Like if I want to see Vitalik talk about the merge, am I able to do so?
Absolutely. So virtually, we'll be on CoinMarketCap. We'll be streaming on our YouTube and directly on our Twitter. We're also going to be in the metaverse and a few other streaming platforms. So just follow us on Twitter at futurist_conf to kind of learn where to see that. And then tickets are almost sold out. So we're just over 6,000. I think we will be closing off soon. So if you get a chance, try and grab your ticket because it'll be an exciting show.
Awesome. And so if we zoom out from this then, what else are you working on? What is the kind of, because the conference scene, it's cool to see you doing this one live and direct and in person, but man, what was it like going through? I imagine you're a little bit sick of talking about the pandemic experience, but that has been really tough for events organizers.
Absolutely. Been tough, definitely tough in Canada. I admire the people who were able to go and take it to other places around the world that had a little less restrictions. We're just happy to be back. It obviously took a big blow for us in, the crypto world. We already were all online anyways in a lot of ways. So we were still already doing hybrid events. So we were able to merge that quite easily. But it allowed us to really focus on the gamification aspect. So at our 2020 virtual conference, we gamified the full event online. So people were able to collect points in crypto through multiple actions online. And we're just so happy to just bring it back to the real world. At the end of the day, there's been so many studies, so much research, so much things have proven that face-to-face connection is so important. And I think people forgot about that. Everyone got so cozy and comfy at home. But the second you pull yourself out again and get to an event, just the energy is just so important. And especially in crypto, I found is crypto really relied on events because it's such an anonymous type of area. You don't know, is this a real company? Is this not a real company? Is this a trustworthy person? Should I be investing in this or that? And events helped merge that. Events helped that this is a great company. They did a great booth. They're really helpful. We see the names behind and the people behind the project. And I think the interesting thing about this year specific is DAOs. And DAOs is like a whole nother world that nobody wants to be the leader. Nobody should be the leader, right? And so it's like, well, how do you trust people behind it? And I really admire the DAOs that still come to events and they found a way to be able to get community involvement to say, okay, we're going to sponsor or expose yourself to a different audience. Because I think more important than ever, the more DAOs that happen out there, the more we need to see, are there real people behind some of these projects? And that's what I think is important. You know, I was nervous. Are we never going to shake someone's hand again? Are we never going to hug anyone again? But I'm happy to be back. And I think that's why it's stronger than ever this year. People are just, everyone's calling it the Canadian crypto reunion. So people have been saying that and we're excited for it.
Nice. Well, I'm excited for you Canadians to get to do your reunion. There's always something though, right, Tracy? You know, so as much as people are going out again, and the pandemic is not necessarily behind us, but you know, everything is opened up again, and we have freedom of movement and all that kind of good stuff. But of course, the crypto market, you know, as much as we had this incredible bull run last 2 years. Now we're in the depths of what you'd probably call a bear market right now. I imagine a lot of the people that go to conferences, they've been through at least one or two bear markets, so they know that there'll be light at the end of the tunnel. But does it affect the sentiment in terms of like people buying tickets? Or is it harder to get people to speak and get excited about things in the depths of a bear market?
Yeah, you know, in previous years, absolutely. I would say the 2018, 2019 was extremely hard when there was a bear market. This year, the sentiment hasn't changed as much. It's like people were smarter, they've learned through it, and they're building real technology. They also have traditional investment money coming from other sources. And I think the crypto community understands this is not isolated just to crypto. This is what something's happening in the world right now. And so it's not just their crypto portfolio that's down, it's everything. And so because of that, you know, I don't think they've lost hope in crypto. It's more just understanding that crypto is not numb to what's happening in the traditional world. So has it affected like tickets and things like that? Like we're a conference that tries to make it inclusive to everybody. There's lots of ways to get on site in terms of volunteering, being a community partner, helping promote, being press, you know, some way to contribute to the event to get on site. Because we've strongly believe, you know, it shouldn't be these crazy ticket prices that only people who can afford Bitcoin and crypto is made for the world and for the unbanked. And so we make sure that we're able to give it to anybody. And so usually people reach out to us, we're able to find a way to get them on site. So in that sense, it's good. But it's been, it's now getting back to the tech. Like the way I like to speak to when people ask about bear market is the one thing I always just like to remind people, no matter what, is like protect your keys. Like make sure you don't lose your crypto. Like that is a much scarier, much like, you know, sadder thing to face than just, you know, losses on like the price. And so what I always say is if you're holding something in an exchange, to take it off the exchange. If you're giving it to somebody to get some yield somewhere, get it off that. I've lived through Mt. Gox. I've lived through all these hacks. They happen all the time. And that's, I think, the biggest thing to learn in a bear market is at least you still have your crypto, you know, make sure you take it off those exchanges. I think it's just a good reminder all the time for people.
Absolutely. It's a good reminder indeed. All right, well, let's go to a very quick break and then we'll come back. We'll have some fun. We'll run Tracy through the very famous Crypto Conversation Hot Take Round. Before we do, should just give a shout out for the website, which is futuristconference.com. That's the best place to go for people to get tickets and find out the schedule and where the app is and all that good stuff. Right, Tracy?
Amazing. Exactly. Futuristconference.com.
Awesome. We'll be back in 1 second. All right, we are back, and I'm with Tracy Leparulo. Tracy is the CEO of Untraceable, which is a pun on Tracy. I like it. Untraceable. Tracy runs Untraceable, which is crypto and blockchain events company. And as you will be aware, we've been talking about the Blockchain Futurist Conference taking place in Toronto next week. Of course, the website again, futuristconference.com. Tracy, I like to finish each podcast with a quick round of rapid fire crypto conversation hot takes. Are you up for it?
I'm up for it. Let's do it.
Just going to run some questions at you, Tracy. Just give me your best answers, hot take style. Question 1. Where would you say that you sit on the Bitcoin maximalist to multi-chain opportunist spectrum?
You know, I'm a middle child and I'm a Libra, which is a scale. I'm dead in the middle on this. I think absolutely there's a need for Bitcoin specifically. And I think for anyone not to see the value of just Bitcoin and how important it is isolated as itself is just such an important aspect. And I think as a for the entire world, especially for the unbanked, especially for these developing countries. But there's space for everybody. It's like the new internet, Web3. So there's lots of use cases. Bitcoin is not meant to do everything, and it shouldn't. It should be Bitcoin, and that's what it's good at. So I'm right in the middle.
I
Honestly.
love it. All right. What would you say then is your firmest conviction crypto opinion, Tracy?
Oh, um, if you're a girl, stick with it in the space.
Nice.
That's my conviction.
All
Yeah.
right.
I was
Well,
here, I was young, yeah, and I stuck with it. So you can do it too.
yeah. So, well, let's expand on that. What is it like being a woman, particularly in, 5, 6 years ago? It would have been even
9 years
more of
ago.
a male. Yeah, exactly. A male
Yeah.
kind of dominated space. I imagine it's slowly changing. Is it?
Absolutely changing. I find a good women's group and network to work with, and just stick with it. I wasn't in capital markets, wasn't an engineer, found a way to make my mark. So if you're female in the space, know where your talents are, and there's lots of opportunity out there. And don't be afraid to step up and be a founder and be a CEO, because we are missing those. There's lots of women behind the scenes in crypto, but we're missing some of the founders out there for sure.
Nice. All right. Well, Tracy, Bill Gates famously said that we tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in 2 years and underestimate what we can accomplish in 10. So, whatever you like here, Bitcoin, Web3, Ethereum, the metaverse, what does it all look like in 10 years' time?
I think it's going to go two ways. I think central bank digital currencies is going to create a really big, dramatic change in the world. That we're just talking about a little bit, but there's some scary aspects to it. Or it's going to be incredible, and everything's going to get decentralized, and we're going to kind of make it. So I think there's a pivotal choice that's coming very soon. I think there's a war on privacy right now. There's a war on censorship. There's a war on currency, and we're going to have to kind of fight a battle, all of us, to make it inclusive to everyone.
Absolutely. All right. Well, the flip side of that, of course, Tracy, is a quote by William Gibson, who said that the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. Can you think of an example of the future being here right now, but most people just aren't really aware of it?
The future is here. Absolutely. AI, I don't even think it's talked about nearly what it's been doing. The one thing that freaks me all the time is satellites. I don't think anyone talks about it enough. I have a few friends that have, private satellite companies. So people are shooting satellites up individually now. And so if you thought you had privacy before, unfortunately, our world is completely monitored at the moment. So the future's here. We just don't know about it.
Totally. All right. Well, time to zoom out, time to get weird just for a second, Tracy. What do you see as the long-term future for the human race? Do you see dystopia or utopia?
Utopia. I am a optimistic person. I think there's enough people in the world that we can do this right. And I think the blockchain technology is actually the solution for all this. It's just we have to find a way to get the people up top, or even better, get young leaders to be up top that understand this technology and to be empowered, a position of power to make change and make action. So there's going to be a lot of resistance. People don't want to give up power. Third parties don't want to be kicked out. But that's kind of what we're doing here. So secretly, we got to let the third parties know that their time's over. We're here to kind of fix this world.
I love it. All right. Let's close this out, Tracy. Finally, what is your favorite science fiction book, film, TV show, or universe?
Ooh, The Matrix. I love The Matrix. I feel like I think about it at least once a week. I'm like, am I in The Matrix? The Matrix is cool. And, the concept of are we in the metaverse always kind of throws me off too. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, The Matrix is a good answer, mainly because it leads to so many other questions,
Totally.
like, is it all just a simulation? Yeah. All right. This has been fun, Tracy. I've enjoyed talking to you. Fun to do this one. Close it out just by telling people, where they can find you on Twitter or wherever else you like to hang out on the internet. And again, what they should do if people want to check in with the Blockchain Futurist Conference in Toronto, Canada, August 9 and 10, 2022.
Amazing. Yeah, futuristconference.com. My name's Tracy from Untraceable. You can find me on Twitter, Tracy Leparulo, and start following our new token called Unny, UNNY. So Unny is going to be our new token that we're launching at Futurist. It's an untraceable token, and we're excited for it. You guys are one of the first people to hear about it in the world.
I love it. Awesome. Thank you for coming on, Tracy. All the best with the conference, but bye for now.
Bye for now.
All right, there you go. That was Tracy from Untraceable. Blockchain Futurist Conference. Looks cool. Yeah. Be interesting to get some updates from Vitalik as the merge merges closer. Lots of other good talkers there as well. futuristconference.com. All right, well, that's today's show. Yeah. Thanks for listening, team. This was the Crypto Conversation for Brave New Coin. See ya.